Okay, so welcome to Infinity Podcast. And I'm so happy to welcome Ana Vegas, a great friend and a great therapist, focusing mainly on healing and working with plants and connecting between people, plants, medicine, and spirituality and well being. Welcome, Anna. Maybe you can
Thank you very much.
say a few words about yourself. Anything you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm Ana Vegas, and as you already said, I'm a therapist, healer, women's coach, and I work a lot with our connection with nature, and especially with the plants and the plants as conscious beings. So some call it plant spirit medicine or plant consciousness, um, the plant beings. And that's one of the the ways I work for us to really get um, to come to our own connection and grounding and healing and clarity in life.
So, Anna, maybe you can tell a little bit about your personal story because, yeah, normally we don't just boom, we do it.
Yeah,
Maybe we go
yeah,
through some suffering or stuff, in order to
yeah,
realize that there is something more than what you see.
yeah, yeah. Plenty of that.
Go for it.
I had a very have and had a very moved life. So I think I am a very adventurous soul. And where to start? Yeah, like how I guess that like how I came to work the way I do, through my own
Yeah, maybe,
experience.
everybody, we have like a moment in our life that kind of we wake up, there's a strong shift or something happens to us and then say, aha, maybe for you, you can
Yeah,
share.
I had many little shifts, not like one big one, but like yeah, many. And I guess um I mean the first biggest shift when I was 18, I left my home country, Holland, and I started to travel around the world. And I think that really opened up my eyes for other ways of living and for nature itself. Um, and so 10 years down the line, I had been working and living and traveling around the world. I decided I wanted to study, and I was really drawn to the herbs and herbal medicine because of my experiences traveling. So I think there were experiences drip feeding into me and drawing my attention to herbal medicine and the plants and nature. And then I started to learn herbal medicine in Scotland in the way of meeting the plants as conscious beings. So that was a huge shift for me, understanding that I can meet plants as conscious, intelligent, healing, yeah, holistic beings. No, so that was kind of in the background, and then the more recent was the time of COVID, I guess. And I had just separated, and I was a single mom of two kids. And I lost most of my income because of the circumstances with COVID. And I was living very, quite excluded, like, yeah, on my own with the kids. And then the lockdown came, and it it really brought me back to really be with myself and the grief I carried and all the insecurities in my life and financial insecurities and all the responsibility on my shoulders and feeling very alone with that. And I think especially loneliness was a big thing coming up. And yeah, I was just so pulled back to nature. And because I had that background with herbal medicine, I just was pulled back to that aliveness in nature, in the plants, but also really in the rocks at that time and in the water as I lived next to a river. And I just remembered like there is no loneliness and everything is speaking. But I had to get to be really lonely, feeling really lonely to actually have that opening of like, oh my God, this doesn't even exist. I'm never alone, I never was alone, and all these helpers and all these energies are around constantly. I just wasn't, putting my attention to them. And that was a big shift. And I realized that in my work, because I was working as a healer and a therapist and not so much anymore with the plants, and I realized in my work I need to bring the plants forward again.
So I want to ask you, because many people, especially I believe in the modern world, they're suffering from loneliness. And you found an amazing way to maybe to overcome it or to work with it, which is phenomenal. Can you talk more about the connection with the plants and how it helps you to, to feel that you're not lonely?
Yeah. I get still moments of the feeling of loneliness, but I know I can kind of just go outside and become conscious of, first of all, to be conscious of who I am. So feeling my body, but also feeling my energy field and just really embodying myself energetically and physically. And then when you're sitting with a plant, but it could also, like I said, it could also be a rock, or you could also look at a mountain. When I meet that other being with the mindset or the open mind or open heart of like, this is a being, this other has also an energy, it has a character, or some call it a spirit. When I meet the other, like say the plant in that way, I can just feel the energy, and that energy of, for example, the plant informs me. And one of the outcomes, so to say, is that you can never be alone. And because I started to embody this more and more, like not just the idea, but really the experience of it, I've realized that I just carry less loneliness around. I believe less in it. And so my human relationships have changed. So actually in the practical human world also, I'm actually less lonely. I do have now, it's a few years down the line that this started to really come back into my life. And actually my circumstances have changed. And that's energetic, because I had, thanks to the plants and thanks to the connection to nature, I had energetic changes. So I was energetically living another reality that is supported and, more and more coming back to that I am being guided and that I'm not alone and I'm always having support. And so that became something I embody energetically. And so those experiences, it opened other doors. So those experiences also came in terms of relationships and friendships.
When we look at other people, we can say, oh, it's another being. When you look at cat or a dog, another being. But what's the difference between a plant and a human being? Is there a difference?
Yeah, good question. I mean, of course, there are many differences, and I think as human beings, we will always need other human beings as well. I don't want to like replace one with the other or something like that. But those differences are so beautiful, and I think to bridge those worlds is so beautiful, because as humans, we're powerful. We can see that. We can do great good in the world. We can also really do a lot of destruction. We have that kind of power because we can walk around, and the plants don't have power in that way because they're just rooted. They can't actually act. Having said that, we're 100% depending on them. If they weren't there, we wouldn't live. But if we wouldn't be here, they would live. But sometimes I feel in the sense that when you relate to a plant, because they're rooted and they're stationary and they're always there and they're always just going through the cycle, it's very pure. Like you're not having, like with humans, we can often project our own past on the other because they feel like, well, what my father was like, or, you know, my sister, and with a plant, I'm automatically not doing that because it's a whole different species. And so I'm learning to relate very purely. And also I have the safety to relate very purely. So one of the things I saw in myself and in many clients is that when we make actually relationships with the plants, we start to know ourselves in a very pure way because we don't have these layers between us of we're all projecting on each other.
So nice. Maybe do you need to be personally with the plant, or for example, maybe for the people who listen, we can make an experiment and think together about the plant that you suggest, and maybe we can feel the effect of that plant. Is it possible to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's energy, and we're speaking about plant spirit or plant energy or plant consciousness. So I can lie in my bed and be with, you know, a particular plant. I would always recommend that you first establish the relationship with the actual plant in you know, outside. And also, you know, you might want to take the plant as a physical medicine, like drinking the tea or taking the tincture or using it on your skin or something like this. But especially once that relationship is established and you spend some time like that in nature with the plant, you can just kind of, you know, like, you know, it's like energy work, so you can just call it in. You can just.
Can we just now, or maybe before I ask, for example, if for me, I feel very good with olive, is it for everybody? Because, for example, if there are remedies that made from olive, it will be for everybody the same remedy, but not, is it like this? Or is it a unique relationship that I have with the olive tree or the olive leaves, but you're going to have different relationship? Is it like this?
It's both. Like, I think our relationship with the plant is personal because we have our own, you know, character and life experience. But if, for example, like last month, I had a retreat where we were with more people and we studied one plant only, and everybody had their experience of that plant, which was personal because it brought up personal feelings from their own past and memories and so on. But when we shared in a group, we started to see like, wow, there are some really strong themes that everybody describes slightly different, but they're definitely, you know, here for all of us. And we were sitting with comfrey, the plant. But if we would have sat with olive, for example, or I don't know, calendula, we would have had different experience and we would have had a different theme coming up.
Would you be, do you think it's possible right now for the people who listen that you guide us through connecting with different plants and just maybe people can intuitively sense a different feeling? Would you do it?
Yeah,
Is okay?
we can try.
Okay,
I
let's
think
do
we
it.
need to think of some plants and or herb that is very, very common, no?
Yeah, whatever you think. We are here for you.
That people just immediately know, or that most people would know. Okay, so let's try. Yeah. Okay. So I can do two different ones. Maybe you can feel just the difference.
Yeah, be good so people can also see the difference between them.
Yeah. Okay. So let's try. So just maybe close your eyes if you're listening to this and just come to your body, really feeling your feet on the floor. Maybe you're sitting on the floor, taking a few deep breaths. And really allow your body to sink down, allow the weight to sink down into the seats. Allow your shoulders to drop, facial muscles to relax. And it's just important to feel how your body is right now. We don't have to change anything, but we do need to know how we are before we can actually meet another and know something about them. And you can also become aware of your energy field. If that's kind of new, you could, like me, stretch out your hands and just draw it, so it helps your mind to understand more or less where the energy field is. And then rather than sitting here as a physical body, you can sit here as an energy body, as an auric body, as an energy field. So you're just taking in more space, having more awareness of how you're feeling, what is you, what is that taste of you, that energy of you. And then let's become aware of the mid channel of the body, where all the chakras lie. And we let this mid channel go all the way down to the core of the earth, allowing the energy of the earth to feed into the energy field and the body. And this channel can go out through the top of the head, all the way up to the center of the universe, the central sun, and also allowing that support and energy, guidance, to just feed down into the body and the energy field. And then we center into the middle of the chest, the heart chakra. See where that is for you. And just observe. And see if you can allow this center of the middle, in the middle of the chest, to relax, to open. And before we're going to call in any plant, let's just feel into a bit of our gratitude for the plant. They are the ones who give us our oxygen. They are the ones who feed us. They are the ones who give us our clothes, our material for housing. They were here before us. They are like our elders. Without them, we cannot live. So see if you can feel into the gratitude of these generous life givers and healers. Because it's that gratitude that works like a bridge to communicate. And then all together, or everybody in their own way, we're going to call in Rose. And you can maybe just think of a rose that grows close to you. You might even imagine yourself sitting there next to it. Or you can just connect to roses. We all know rose. Maybe you can imagine the straight stems and the thorns. Maybe you can remember the smell. Maybe you can imagine how the flower first is a bud and then slowly opens, fully flowered. Eventually loses the leaves, the petals, and becomes a rose hip. And just sit for a while with these images of rose growing, the roots underneath the earth as well. And maybe in your heart you can feel gratitude for Rose in your life. And then see if you can feel what it feels like, this energy. Add it to your own energy field. Imagine Rose is a teacher, a very wise, generous teacher that can really show you something you didn't know yet. And see if there's any colors you feel or changes you feel in your body or energy field. Any message that might be coming through. And then we thank Rose, suspended your gratitude for this experience. Coming back to your body, your energy field, and then just for the experience, we imagine metal. Imagine you're sitting next to a patch of metal. And just to have the comparison, see how you feel. You can imagine yourself sitting next to a patch of metals growing in spring. What does your body feel like? Connecting to that metal. What does your energy field feel like? What happens if you're breathing from the heart with metal? Like into the heart chakra and out of the heart chakra. And even if we're just dipping our toe into this, are there any differences between being with metal for a moment and being with Rose? And then we can thank metal and just come back to our own body and energy field again.
Thank you, Anna.
How was that?
Can I share what I felt?
Yes, please.
Being a rose, I felt very, very soft and feminine. Now, always we can say this is our mind creating, but the good thing is that we did nettle after that, and the nettle was completely different. So the rose was very, very soft and feminine, and I almost could smell the perfume. It was very interesting.
Yeah, I had the same. I smelled rose.
And then the nettle, I was also very, very surprised. Suddenly I felt so much power. Like it just, my whole central channel just aligned and I felt I'm ready to go. Very interesting.
Yeah, nettle is really invigorating.
Very powerful. So I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank also the plants for that.
Yeah.
And then I want to ask you, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the process you develop working with people, doing that, and also you're making courses teaching people. Maybe you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I was introduced to something that is called Goethean science. Have you heard of Goethe, the poet? He was German, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. He was a very, very fond observer of nature. And he basically designed a way of observing, like science, where he feels that the human senses are the best scientific instrument. And rather than observing an object outside of us, he taught to become the object, so to say. And he did this a lot with nature. So I was taught that as a step-by-step way to get to know the herbs. Rather than in, for example, shamanic cultures where people are more used to this, they might just meet a plant and just immediately feel and know. For the Western mind, often we need a few more steps. Plus, we haven't grown up observing nature so much. So it's a really nice way to actually get really much more intimate with the plant, because you're observing a lot of details and you're observing it intuitively and also more with the scientific mind. So I'm using that as a backbone to the work that I do. But then, because I studied separately many years of energy healing and also body work, and yeah, just working with human beings and with trauma and with healing, I have somehow fused that. So like we did now, I think it's always important first to really embody yourself and also to embody your energy field, because we get so much information energetically. So that is how I work in a kind of step-by-step way to get to know a plant on a really profound level. And once you have learned that, you can basically do it with any plant, or maybe an element even, or with the earth herself, and not necessarily follow steps, but you'll have integrated.
And what the transition you've seen in people doing this work?
Yeah, so much in myself and in other people, and it's very varied. One of the I think one of the things that seems to come up in everybody is that the plants, no matter which plant, they always are teaching for us to be fully ourselves and to really take our space, and that happens in synergy with others. So when I really take my space, it's not an egoistic thing. It's actually something that helps my community, because I'm fully being myself. That seems to be one thing that comes back a lot, like the encouragement to really be yourself and to fully express your gifts and your talents. So that's one thing that comes up a lot. And then for every person, there's a totally different journey, because every person is working with another plant. I can say some examples of, for example, people losing the fear to really express their art. Somebody who had made great music, but she was always making songs of somebody else. She started to sing on stage, but always singing someone else's songs, and she was really taught by the dandelion how important it is that she spreads her own medicine. So she finally found the courage to actually start singing her own songs on stage. And of course, that's not just about her singing the songs. It worked on her self-esteem. It worked on maybe old relationship issues she had within her family, and the processes that then show out in the world as her being more of herself, or showing more of herself.
And that's
that's
what you
just an
teach in your
example.
course? That's what you teach in the courses?
So yeah, in my first course, which is called Immersion into Plant Communication, it's a 7-week course online. Well, at least the information is transmitted online, but you do this in nature at home. There you really establish a very deep bond with one plant, which is really deepening your connection with nature and with yourself in general, with your sense of belonging in this world. And I think it changes the way of how we move and how we see the world, and so how we see ourselves in the world. And so you connect with one plant, and that brings a healing process like the one I described just now, but it could also be totally different. I had somebody working with Rosemary, and she really went into her. Rosemary is a lot about memory, to say it in a very short way. So she really went into her family roots, her ancestors, and did a lot of work with that, for example. So that's the first course. That's 7 weeks, and you really dive into your relationship with nature and the healing process that comes out of that. And then the second course, that is a follow-up, is called Roots to Fruits. And there we more consciously take this relationship with ourselves within nature into the world. So then we start to really look at our own gifts and talents. We also start to look at our boundaries, and so that we can actually bring our own gifts and talents out into the world, together with using that connection with the plants as spiritual guidance. And then you become very practical about which steps are you going to take and what actually do you want to bring out into the world. That's the second course.
Beautiful. And do you have dates that people can look at, or?
Yes, I have. Pretty soon even. It's the 15th of September.
All right.
I'm starting both of those courses. But obviously, if you haven't worked with me before, then you would start with the immersion into plant communication.
Beautiful. Do you have any message for humanity?
Wow.
Yeah, of course.
It's a good one to think about. Yes. Yeah, what comes is just there's so much more magic, than we often live in day-to-day life, and we are in an amazing time of evolution, which sometimes feels scary or overwhelming. But we're so guided all the time, and whether you're aware of it or not, we are living in this alive world of physical and spiritual beings that are always there guiding us. And the more we are aware of it, the more I think it just brings so much more beauty and clarity into our life. But we're so guided, and we have teams around us that are supporting this evolution that we're in. And so if we can just feel that.
Yeah, beautiful. So just to live, just to bring more awareness to our existence and to existence of creation as one thing. So thank you so much, Anna. It's so beautiful to talk with you, and not only to talk with you, to feel your connection with the truth, I would say, with creation, and that you are blessing us with your talents of making this connection, so we don't feel lost on this planet, and we feel that life is here. Yeah, magic is here. We don't need to look for it. I don't know where. We just
we're part of it.
To stop and breathe and connect. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, and another thing is that I know that you're going to offer also those courses through our academy, the Infinite Being Academy. So yeah, just another way that people can meet you and work with you.
Yes.
So thank you very much.
I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah, good luck on everything. Your luck is our luck.
Yes, thank you.
Is humanity luck?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
All the best.
Yes.